The following program contains adult language, poor taste in jokes, racial slurs, political slurs, slants, and all sorts of things that, if you are sensitive and have a delicate constitution, you should probably go watch Teletubbies. You were warned.
Hey kids, welcome back. It's another beautiful day, kind of. Those of you that are my age or close to it probably remember a TV show in Indiana. It used to be on Sunday afternoons, about 5 o'clock, way back in the 80s. It was called In Search Of, with Leonard Nimoy. And back then they also used to have Jacques Cousteau and shit like that, when he was still alive, who was an underwater oceanographer. Or maybe he was I don't know what he was. But anyway, yesterday we had a bad experience. I brought Rockstar out here, and I ran him for like an hour and a half. Just had a blast. The water was crystal clear, smooth, is just awesome. Tuned him in a little bit better. He was really rocking. And then, I beat on the thing for an hour, and I'm videoing the whole thing. I put my deck cam on top of my my cover, and I even flipped the fucking boat once, and pushed it in with the tug, got all the water out of it, and went on and ran. But right over there, right where you see that tree line and you see that big overhang somewhere around in there, I hit a wave, my own wave, and hit it just right, and my whole top popped off the boat, and I stalled the boat immediately to stop it. And so here's my cover, the shroud, floating, because I had flotation on it. But what I never took into consideration when I tested it for flotation is I never tested it with the extra weight of the GoPro on there. So guess what happened? It was upside down, and the hatch, it was upside down floating, and the boat was floating because I had stalled the boat on purpose because I kind of wanted everything in one spot. And it fucking sunk. It sunk because of the extra weight of the GoPro. So I'm like, son of a bitch. So even though it's pretty nice out, the river's fucking cold. It got cold quick. There's a fisherman down there. And so I jumped over, and it's not that far away. It might look farther in the camera, but it's really 200, 300 feet away. And I swam, but unfortunately how this river is set up is it's kind of deep right here on the edge, kind of deep, I use that term loosely, kind of deep over there, and really shallow in the middle. Well, of course, I didn't lose it in the middle. I lost it on the edge, and it's about 5.5, 6 feet deep. So if I stand on my tiptoes, I'm 6'1". If I stand on my tiptoes, my head's above water over there. But I looked for it. I couldn't open my eyes underwater because I had my contacts in. Well, the whole thing didn't really bother me that much because I was planning on gutting Rockstar and putting all the guts into a new hull this winter. I've been talking with my buddy JJ Horvath, and we've been kicking around some ideas for new catamaran hulls because I'd like another cat. That's really not the issue. The issue is I want my fucking GoPro. Now, it might be trash because it's been overnight. It's been sitting underwater 6 feet deep. Might be trash, but fuck. It's fun. So I'm sitting there last night having a roto twister on the couch and thinking, how could I possibly find this hatch? So I thought, well, we're just going to put an FPV system on the bottom of the rescue tug. Why not? I have a drawer full of that shit. I put in a 800 milliwatt VTX. I put an Eagle Cam 2, a Run Cam, because I hate those. A Run Cam Eagle 2 camera in there, and I waterproofed it. And I put a hole in the bottom of the hull, and I waterproofed the whole camera with. I basically put a little bit of tape over the lens, conformal sprayed it, and did a bunch of other little things to it. Put a far-view FPV antenna in there, and I wired it to the Canon switch. So here's the boat. Doesn't look any different than it did 2 days ago. On the top, a little dirty. But if you look at the bottom, you can see a camera right there. So because I ran out of channels and power options for this thing, because my pistol grip's only a 4-channel radio, I wired the FPV system into the Canon circuit because I have the Canon on a radio switch. So basically when the Canon's on, FPV comes to life. When it's off, it turns off. So we're not building up a ton of heat and wasting batteries. I am running actually a 3S for the boat. 3S 5000 is a big old battery. And I'm running a 1000 for the FPV and water cannon. So we got our good old Amway goggles. So what we're going to do is I'm going to drive the boat around to somewhere where I know it's shallow. Maybe over there in the middle here. And we're going to turn on the camera, and I'm going to keep talking into this camera, but I'll switch the video over and we'll turn on the whatchamacallit, the FPV. Then, once we're good with that, I'm going to turn off the camera, drive back over here, and start searching. Now, I truly, guys, do not believe that I'm going to find this hatch. I know I'm fucking fooling myself. The reason being, one, I had flotation on it. That means it probably didn't sink. So, as you know, as things go deeper into water, they become lighter. So it probably got 3 or 4 feet down and fucking floated downstream. That is my guess. I think the hatch is probably south of Cheese and gone forever. Plus, this is murky water. This is not like my lake back home. My lake back home, on a weekday or a Sunday, you can look down there and you can see 15 feet below. But this, and it's windy, so it's a little bit more choppy here. Not choppy, but enough to give it some mud. So, I don't think we're going to find it. But it's a fun experiment anyway, to do some underwater FPV. I want to see how it picks up. So anyway, I will shut this down and we'll get the boat going. Be right back. Alright, we're going to power everybody up. Now, the other drawback to this system that I've invented, not an invention by any stretch, that I've utilized, is the fact that you will not be able to see where you're going because you're going to be wearing goggles. And so, you know, if you crash into things, you know, whatever. I really need a monocular. And I know that, oh boy, down in New Zealand had actually reviewed one years back where it's just one FPV lens goes over one eye, which at the time I thought was completely gay, but that would be really good for now. Or have it on a screen. And I honestly don't have an FPV screen. I have 2 sets of goggles, I have all this other stuff, but I do not have a separate FPV monitor. So, but in this sunlight, it'd be a bitch to do both at the same time anyway. So you almost need somebody with the goggles on and somebody driving, but that's okay. So what we're going to do now, we're going to pull our buoy up a little bit. Okay? All right. Now what we're going to do, we're going to put the boat in. Woo-hoo-hoo. It's cooling off, man. It's cooling off. And I'm going to plop my big ass down the chair. And we're just going to drive over to where I believe it's shallow. Ish. Basically what I want to do is I want to test the camera. Hopefully, and I did not do a leak test, so hopefully I got a good seal on the camera. On the inside I put a big puddle of epoxy. I mean, that camera's in there for fucking ever. And on the outside I actually did another seal, so it should be fine. If it starts sinking, we know what happened. Okay. Alright. Now she's sitting still. I'm going to rotate this camera, so we're going to go ahead and turn this off right now, and you're going to see, hang on, let me grab my goggles. We're going to grab, hopefully it still picks everything up. We're going to turn on now, as soon as I adjust my lenses in here, the camera. There we go. It's booted up, and I don't see shit. Very, very bright. Yeah, it's not picking anything up too good. Nothing but reflection. Alright. I'm going to bring it up close to here because it is reasonably shallow right here. We're going to turn off the camera. Okay. And you know what? If this doesn't work worth the shit, I don't think it's going to work in the river just because it's too fucking murky. I don't think it's going to work. I think it would work in a lake. But I want to get an idea of the depth I'm dealing with. So right here, we know that it's only about a foot deep. Ooh, fish. But given the fact that I didn't see shit, and my original idea was to take this cheap ass hat cam and put it on the bottom of the boat in a waterproof case. Alright, so there we go. Let's put our goggles back on. Alright, there we come into view. That's some pretty shallow shit right there. Alright, let's bring it over to where I think the boat lost it. Okay, camera's back off. You can definitely tell if the camera's on or off because the cannon's not shooting water. I need to get that ballast farther back again. So right now it looks like anything that's really close to the bottom you can see, but not far away. I think I need to take some weight out of this boat. Alright, I lost the canopy, the hatch, whatever you want to call it, over here. So let's turn this back on. Water cannon's going. Just curious. Plug our goggles back in. And no, you can't see shit. Alright, so we're going to turn it back off. So if you lose something close to home, it's got the projection. What would really work for this project is if you used one of those GoPro transmitters or RunCam, you know, where it's a decent camera. I mean, this is a RunCam Eagle too. I mean, it's not like a piece of shit of a camera, but just the lighting and everything else. That's something else I could play with too. We could always adapt the change the lighting and see if that helps, but I don't think it's going to. So now I'm going to plug this back in. And we're going to turn our camera back on. See, we're only like 2 feet deep. I am moving forward and you can't see anything. But the interesting thing is the camera is still waterproof, still working fine. And the FPV system's working fine. Got a little bit of noise in there, but it's nothing you can't fix with a quick cap capacitor. Let's bring it back close up again. Okay. Turn the radio off. So this is an experiment that did not work. I mean, it works. It just doesn't work the way I want it to. Yeah, I definitely have too much weight in this boat now. That's okay. So what we may do is pull that camera back out and keep this a permanent FPV system. So let's see what we got. Turn the camera back on. We're only 2 feet of water, if that. So now we can see it. But we are shallow. Going backwards now. But it's also very hard to tell. Is it just because it's the river? Or is it because it's just not going to work? Alright, so let's see here. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to drive it real close. That is 3 inches above. But again, it's really murky water. Going in reverse now. Here we go. So you're about 2 feet deep right there, give or take. And we're going to go in. There's about a foot. But again, this is really murky water. So I don't know. I think we might keep the camera on the bottom until I can test it in clear water. And I'm half tempted to take it up to my little lake, but I don't know how much clearer that is because it's not really a lake. So yeah, that's about it. So A for effort, and as somebody said to me the other day, a D for execution, D minus or D plus, something like that. That's okay. That's what this is about. I just think it's going to be too damn murky in here to do that. So I'm just going to sit here and burn out my battery a little bit and have some fun. Talk to you later. Bye.